Okay, there it goes. One
Yeah, I see.
Okay. Okay, man. So yeah, so what I want to do today is just kind of to get started. I really kind of want to get a good feel on where you're at in all areas. I know right now the transition, I do think it's a little confusing, so we're going to be tackling that as we go. When you were
All
at
right.
Keller Williams, tell me about what training classes you went to and the training you did get while you were there.
Well, most of the training that we got at Keller Williams was mostly like business training, as far as like bringing in clients and how to bring them in, how to manage them. And I guess to give us a boost and to let us know what we need to do in order to run a high selling business, I guess.
Yeah, so the 3 hours of lead generation, the time blocking,
Right.
the classes, you know, they're good classes, but they tend to all revolve around the same structure. Was there any ways to generate the leads that you really like that concept and think you would be really good at?
Well, since I started at Keller Williams, they were big on open houses and doing open houses anytime you get the chance to. And the process that they do open houses with, it works. If you follow all the steps that they set for you, you will come, not all the time, but you will leave with, new leads.
Okay. And how were you on the follow-up aspect of that?
That was actually one of my, remember I was supposed to make a list, and that was actually on my list. I don't think I did too good with the follow-up.
I mean, that's the toughest part of the business. At the end of the day, that's also the most important part of the open house.
Right.
Because I like what some trainers say, like in this business, it's, especially when you get started, everything you do is going to make you feel like you're growing. But, you know, like people will do an open house. 3 days later, they'll put them in the database. Then they'll try to get a system set up to email. And, you know, basically, they'll never make that follow-up call. But then later that day, someone who converts better may have gotten them to sign up. So
Right.
you have to, I agree, it's good source of business, but you do have to be able to capture them pretty good. Because if they go into one open house, they probably go into more than one.
Right.
So you got to get a hold of them pretty quick. And I'm not discouraging open houses. That's the way this business is now, is there's so many agents in the business, a lot of new ones that are coming in that, you know, we got to be aggressive on, you know, building a relationship and just showing value and making it where they don't have a reason to go elsewhere. So, and what we're going to really want to be doing for you is figuring out a niche we think that you can just show a lot of value in. So you're not completely just competing on, I'm a realtor. You know, because you got to get 4,000 down to, you know, okay, there's only 10 agents that are doing this, you know, and that's tough,
Right.
you know, because it's still a face-to-face game. There's no magic combination. There's a lot of work involved. So, okay, now as far as, okay, so you basically the open houses, the lead generation, what else do you do to kind of get yourself going? Do you watch YouTube videos? Do you?
Well, open houses wasn't the only thing that I did. We also called people for sale by owners,
Okay.
and expired listings, and a lot of cold calling, to be honest.
Okay.
And one thing that they did was we would call them for sale by owner. Instead of like asking how I could help them, we would say that, but we would go to the house and just ask for a tour of the home.
Okay.
And when we were on the tour, we would just look at it and talk to them. And I guess after a while, after doing it a few times, you start to realize that, one, some of them have a lot of similar problems, and you kind of figure out what to say as far as how you could help them. Sometimes, because every situation is different.
Bingo.
But I guess it gives you a little bit of a motivation, a little bit of confidence. Like, I know a little bit more than I knew yesterday.
And right there, that's good. I mean, all this is good. Anything you do to try to get business is good, because in this business, I always like to say anything you do is right and it's wrong, because one person will absolutely love it, and then another person will like, you'll hear those stories of, I called them for 3 years and they finally listed with me. So one person loved it, but then there'll be 30 people who absolutely hated that guy. So you just got to kind of learn what's going to work for you, and run it with what is a return. But what you're doing there, that for sale by owner and expireds, I like, because I know KW taught you really go after the listings more than the buyers.
Yeah.
And in this market, if you get those listings, it will be faster, but you can manage your time better. Now, one thing that I think we'll talk about that later. I think on a separate call, we need to have some like listing strategy sessions, because with your work schedule, I think that would just be a lot easier for you. Okay. Yeah. Now, the MLS, tell me what you've done on the MLS and what you're comfortable doing.
That is one thing that I need a lot of help with, or some guidance with, because like I went to the MLS class and it was basically straightforward, but once you start looking up different properties, it's like a whole nother story, because I think you sent me something the other day where it shows like the different areas, and that's how people usually look it up. Yeah. But they just teach you how to do it. They don't teach you what to put in to find different things. And I feel like over time I probably could learn that, and I need to study it too.
That right there may be one of the things that real estate's all about, habits, and that is your bread and butter tool. It's not going to get that's your biggest tool, bar none. So yeah, we'll work on that, because they switched the MLSs, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago. And the old one was really archaic and it was very simple, but in a way it was better, because they made this one so functional that agents are known for doing things, not doing the most detail on them. So if they enter it incorrectly, you can miss houses so easily, because this search is so sensitive. So we'll have to show you like 3 different ways to find things, because I don't always trust my searches. I do it, then I go back, I make a modification a different way, try it that way. And because sometimes you come up with different properties where back in the day, any search you did came up with the same houses. So, and that creates some opportunities. If you're good with your tool, you can better service your clients. So I'm going to show you a strategy. I think we'll do a call today, and then we'll do a separate call where we kind of go over an MLS strategy. And what we're going to do is tie that in with Zoom. So in fact, we may do it on this one. Okay, so with the finding the properties, your comfort level 1 to 10 would probably be 1 being like you've never even heard of it, 10 like you created it. You're probably at like a 4.
Yeah, probably like a 4.5 or something like that.
Okay, have you done searches to find comparable properties?
Yeah, I did that a lot, because I would set up a listing appointment, and me trying to be a real good agent, I guess, I would try and do the comps before I even go to the listing appointments.
Excellent.
And a lot of people say it should only take about 5 to 10 minutes, but it took me a while for some of the houses that but and it might have been the type of house that it was, but yeah, I've done a few of them.
Okay, good. I like that you're really trying to get it right too. Okay, so finding comparables. Okay, so let me ask this. Let's say, you're going to go to a listing presentation on 100 Main Street. What would you consider a comparable property? And let's just say I'll get the name of the neighborhood is Joe Blow neighborhood on Main Street. What's the typical things you would be looking for?
And you said that I was looking for comparable properties on 100 Main Street.
Yeah, if you wanted to know what the value is, what you think the price will sell for, what would you really be focusing in on your searches?
Well, I would look at the house and see what's the outside of it. You type that in, and how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, the square footage. Make sure that's within a couple 100 feet. Okay. And
what statuses would you use?
Well, I would do 3 different ones. I would look at the actives, and then I would look at sold, and I would look at withdrawn. That might be it. Yeah, withdrawn.
Okay, so tell me, what do those things tell you? What does an active tell you?
An active, well, it depends, because one listing that I looked at, the active was a lot different than the sold. Like it was off by a couple thousand, and I went to the appointment, and I tried to be honest, and beat around the bush a little bit, but be honest. Yep, and definitely. I wanted to tell them that this is what it says that they want to sell it for, but this is what it's actually selling for. And the active is, I guess, where you want it to be, where you think it should sell for, or what the market is saying that it should sell for a little bit. But the sold is what it's actually selling for. Like if you wanted to get it sold a little bit faster, then you would go for more so the sold side instead of the active side. Yep. But if you are willing to let it sit for a little while, then you would sell it. You would go around you would go more so towards the active side. Sorry about that.
Okay. No, you're fine. And then how many months would you go back?
How many months? Maybe I'm doing this based off a few times I did. I did not do this that much.
You're doing better than I expected. You're further along on a lot of these steps, so you're doing great, man. But yeah, just keep going, and then I'll kind of tell you what I would be doing. And again, this is just to get a feel for where you're at, so we can ramp you up quick in the areas.
Right. I would honestly, I'm gonna be totally honest. Whenever I did the first few comps, I really wasn't looking at the date as far as, like, I would use the most recently sold ones, but if I couldn't find anything that was recent, because I would try and do 3 in each area. So if I didn't find 3 that was recent, then I had to go with something else. Okay. And I would do the same process for the sold, active, and the withdrawn ones. I think it's the withdrawn. I really don't know. I have to look at it to see.
And this is what I would put in there for you. You're going to want to pull up actives, pendings, solds, expireds, and then withdrawns. Now, some people will tell you withdrawns should not be in the list. I'm a person who believes all the information I can gather that's relevant is helpful to me as an agent. Okay.
Right.
Now, what we got to do is understand what does this categories mean? Because what we're doing is creating a formula to kind of let us kind of predict what we think will sell for. So the actives are the competition. So you can use the actives to sell your listing. So that's why every agent wants, you want to be the best value on the market.
Right.
So if everyone's in theory priced at 100,000 and you're worth the same and you go in at 99 and you're able to get the multiple offers in theory because you're underpriced, or, you know, 1,000 is not going to make a difference at the end of the day, you know, but
Yeah.
you know, this theory is you need to beat the active properties. Now what pending tells us is at that list price, it will get a contract. We don't know what the contract price is, but we know the buyer and seller are close enough where they were able to make a contract happen. And that's new information, because we always want to know, is the market going, you know, up in price? Is it going down? And the pendings are really recent information to let us know at what list price they're going under contract.
Right.
Solds are a fact of time. A sold means a buyer and seller agreed to a price. They also agreed to any repairs that had to be made, and an independent appraisal came and he verified that price as well. And then, you know, basically they also verified the condition of that house qualified for the loan they got. So solds are, that is a true market value. You can't really argue against it. Now, properties do find ways to sell above what they should and what sell below what they should. That's real estate. But it's a, you know, basically, that's the fact in time that we use. Now, what expireds mean, and it can't always mean this, you know, because real estate's different in every scenario, but it usually means it was overpriced. So the expired you would expect to see priced higher than the actives. And definitely priced higher than the solds, because if they weren't priced higher than the solds or weren't in as good a condition as the solds, they would have been one of the solds, and one of those solds would have been active. That makes sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Withdrawns, the reason a lot of agents, some agents say don't use them, is because the seller, their circumstance may have changed where they didn't say my house didn't sell. They said I no longer want to sell.
Right.
But a lot of times the reason they may not want to sell is because they're frustrated that they haven't sold. So I view withdrawns as the same category as expireds, but not all realtors do.
Right.
So, and all the information you have, you want to have more information than the client does. And if you can explain why you're sharing that information, they're not going to say, well, other people don't include withdrawns. You just say, well, I'm a data guy and I want you to know how this is relevant to you, and you take it as you see fit. That's my job as an expert. Okay.
And could I ask a question?
Yeah.
The withdrawals.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that the withdrawals could be depending on the days on the market as well? Because I know you said
there's a lot of reasons they could be withdrawals. If the days on market are high, there could be a couple of situations. They could be frustrated with their realtor. So they could say, the reason my house isn't sold isn't because of the price, it's because you're not doing your job. I want it off the market. So they didn't extend it all the way to the time frame, but you know, that realtor said, fine, we'll take it off. So that listing could just go back listed with the new agent. So that's, you know, those would be calls that you can make. Now, another option could be, I've done this before, where you withdraw the listing and the MLS, I think it's a 2-week period. That's what it used to be. If you put it back on the market, the days on market refresh to 0. Now you actually have to do the work of entering a whole new listing. But if you just feel like somehow you missed that first period, because those first 60, 90 days are critical. Really, I'd say the first 30 to 45 days are the most critical part. So those are some of the reasons. It could be maybe a couple was getting divorced and they got back together. Maybe, there's so many life circumstances that we don't always know the reason, but that's why it's tough to say that they're automatically overpriced. But a withdrawn that was on the market for 200 days, yeah, you can pretty much assume that one was overpriced based on the type of property and the condition. Now here's a question that, like, I would say like maybe 1% of salespeople know. I found it amazing. Okay, so will people buy something when it's market value? And I'm not phrasing it right here, but basically there's a salesman named Grant Cardone who, if you can get his stuff, he's great. He's on YouTube. He'll motivate.
Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah.
But he had one of his quotes that says, people buy like when the value obviously exceeds the price. So people won't buy when you're selling something at what it's worth. People will buy when they feel it's worth more than what it should be.
Right.
So that's the key is, that changed my mind. I'm like, that makes a ton of sense because that's the way I am. If I'm not getting a deal,
then I don't want to get it.
And a deal could just be a better school district for my son. It's all what's valuable to you. Okay, so we're pretty good on finding comparables. I would say we're probably a little bit higher than finding properties, you think? Or would you give yourself the same rating of 4.5?
I would say 5. I don't want to say that I'm good because I'm not.
Yeah, but you know what? There's a lot of agents I've heard where they couldn't explain it like you did. I mean, you're on the right path. So we just, we can give you a little checklist of things to try to include. But comping a property is kind of art. There's certain, it's a skill and you get better over time, but there's a lot of tough choices to make.
Right.
And some neighborhoods are easy, some are not. Okay. You have entered a listing before?
Yeah, I entered a listing before.
Okay. And you felt comfortable with that?
Yeah, I felt comfortable with it. I knew it wasn't the best listing ever. But yeah, I felt like I did a okay job. I know it was a lot of things that I could have did better, but.
Okay, so we'll give you a 6.5 on there. That's one of your more comfortable. Like if we got the listing paperwork done for you, you wouldn't be freaking out.
Right.
Okay, and do you know the MLS areas, that map I gave you?
I'm still going through the map, but okay. Not really. I know St. Andrews is number 1, I guess. Yep.
I would print that out. I mean, right now I can tell you, I got it right in front of me. Right. I've been in the business a long time, but I still have it in front of me. So, and yeah, there's one realtor who blew my mind. He's in my accountability group. He's awesome, but like he'll try to list properties, and I never even thought this way. He's like, I'll get a listing down in Charleston, and I'll list it in our MLS because we have an area for that. I'm like, we do not have an area in the MLS for Charleston. He's like, yep, 110. So I'm at and 110, all other counties. So actually, in theory, you could. I think someone just listed like a $8 million listing that was from Asheville in our MLS. That could have been a joke. I'm not certain. But with EXP, with our license kind of going through, like in theory, we could, our broker in charge covers that Greenville area. So there's a lot of expansion room, like Keller Williams, the way it was is it was a franchise model. So, that franchise would be in one MLS. Now you could join another office, like another Keller Williams office in Greenville, and then join 2 MLSs. But with
Right.
EXP being the cloud, most states are covered by one broker in charge. We got two, so Steve covers half of South Carolina. So in theory, our broker in charge already is covering half all that. But I would not say make that a game plan. It's just a weird story. So, and he sold properties that way. You know, this guy, you're going to meet him. He's a really cool guy, and he's very aggressive. He thinks big. You're going to like
Right.
him a lot. Okay, so know the MLS areas. We got the map. Print that out. We'll put you down at a 2, and we'll, you know, after you do that for a week, you'll be at an 8. Showing time. How are you with showing time?
I've done a few showings on the listing that I had, but I'm sorry. What do you mean by showing times?
Okay, when you go through the MLS, you know, if you're working with a buyer, you need to set up appointments a lot of times. There's a new software tied into the MLS called Showing Time. And what you do is you use Showing Time to set up all your appointments.
Yeah, I've never done that.
Okay. Now, what we may want to do, and have you shown many properties?
No, I haven't shown any property.
Okay. Once we get you back in the MLS fully with EXP, I think one of the best things to do is let's just go ahead, pull up a search around you, just kind of preview properties, but maybe select 3 properties, figure out the best route. Even if they're vacant, use Showing Time to set up an appointment, just so you know how the software works.
Right.
Okay. And then what you're going to learn is every time you show a house, the majority of the time, you know, the other agent's going to call you for feedback, and, you know, you'll learn all the etiquette and stuff like that. So,
Okay, that sounds good.
and with that, we need to make certain you're comfortable using your opening up the blue boxes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So you got lock boxes down. Okay. Okay, good. So Zillow and Trulia, did you make an account? Have you logged
No.
into Zillow? Okay. I would also do that because, I mean, so many people are on Zillow. You're not going to get any leads for free because, you know, so many agents are paying for it, but you still want to set up your profile. And then I know you said that contracts are an important issue for you, of like meeting face to face and going through the contract, right?
Right.
Okay. And have you done anything with the EBA, the exclusive buyer agency?
No, because I haven't been working with buyers, which now I think I should have started off working with buyers, but I haven't been working with many buyers.
Let me tell you what the big, there's differences. It's like a whole different kind of business in a way. Buyers tend to be easier to get started with. They can wear you ragged, okay? But it's usually funner emotionally. Buyers, you may have heard this at KW because this is where I learned it. Buyers care about a house, period. Sellers care about your reputation. So if you're newer in the industry, if you meet with a buyer, if they ask how many houses you've sold, how long you've been in the business, it's like small talk. If you can get them in the house, you're their man. Where with the seller, you know, you can get through the interview process. If you get the listing, they're going to still drill you like week after week, acting like, you know, you don't deserve their listing.
Right.
So, but the thing is, with listings in this market, they sell faster if they're priced right. And you're going to have 1/10 of the work as a buyer agent. And you'll have 1/10 of the risk. Buyer agents take on a lot more risk. So, but I mean, you know, we can teach you all those steps. You know, I wouldn't be worried about that. But just realize, I think buyer agents should naturally get paid more than listing agents, but that's not the way it's set up. It's usually 50-50.
Well, I only been in for a little while, but I haven't worked with a lot of, well, I haven't done a whole bunch of buyer contracts, but since I had the one listing, I've had a lot of people that came to me from that listing that wanted to be potential buyers. The only thing is they wasn't qualified yet.
Okay.
Which in that was going to be another one of my questions as far as like who to put in my database and who not to. But I still try to keep in contact with those people as much as I can. And they were potential buyers.
Well, yeah, they still are. What we need to do is we need to get a good buyer sheet for you so you can record everything. So that way, like, you know, in theory, you could email me these buyer sheets and say, okay, Drew, here's the issue with this person. Here's the issue with this person. I could say, okay, there may be a better type of loan. You know, if they don't have any down payment, maybe this is a loan that could work for them, or, you know, have a good source, because out of sight, out of mind, I guess, is the best way. You can talk to somebody a week later, you'll forget about that conversation, or it won't be your priority. Where if you can have a bunch of buyer sheets, you can just say, okay, I'm going to open my buyer book and go through them page by page.
And like all of their information to be on the book. So if I'm talking to her, I can just look at it and say, hey, well, so-and-so, how are you doing?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, so we'll get you a buyer sheet, and there's a million of them out there. So you just got to find what you're comfortable with. And there, you know, you're going to see one in the marketing section of the EXP, but I've made a bunch myself. So we'll give you like 3 or 4 of them to choose from, and you just figure out which one you're comfortable with.
Right.
So, okay. Okay, so I think we got the good starting point. Where are you at with things? Do you know if Steve got that document signed and sent it in for you?
Yeah, I have the document sitting right next to me. I plan on going to, I guess it's LLR, because it's right down the street from here. Okay. I'm going to go drop it off tomorrow at lunch. And I guess as soon as I drop that off, EXP will probably bill me, and I guess I'll be aboard.
Yeah. And then have you gotten any other emails as far as like being approved in their system, or they may not officially do that until you turn that LLR document in? So.
Right. That's what I was thinking, but
it may still be even a week after that point. That may not take that long. But yeah, let's go ahead and get the LLR document in, because right now time's ticking. So
yeah. And I actually I've been keeping in contact. I've been talking to people, and I guess I have some leads. I haven't been working anything. I haven't been working, but I have some leads.
Well, I tell you what, if there's any, you know, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, because right now you're not licensed. Your license is inactive. But if there was anybody who wanted to even like be starting on the process, I can be working with them, and then we can just change who they work with when you're back going.
Right, so that sounds good.
That, or we just co-work them, and then of course, you know, I can work them when you're at work, and when you're available, you take it on. But
sounds fine by me.
But yeah, we can figure that out. We can talk about that after the call. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's the next step. Get that LL document in, and then what we want to do is, you know, if you want to do I think you're doing pretty good. I think what I would suggest for you is spending an hour a day, and I know you don't have it yet, the MLS. When you get back into the MLS, spend an hour a day just playing with it. And then we'll go ahead and get you set up more comfortable with showing houses, setting up the appointments, figuring out the best routes, and we can do a Zoom call to show it to you. Here's the reason I love doing these Zoom calls. Because, you know, of course, we can do it at our home, but, oops, sorry. So what I can do, I don't know which screen it is. Okay, so you see how you see my screen?
Yeah.
So we can do this where I can teach you like the MLS, right? Do you see it all right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we went over that comp example, there's a couple of different ways. Let's go with, we're just going to do Friars Gate neighborhood, right? Because that's over by you. There's an old Friars Gate and a new Friars Gate. Are you familiar with Friars Gate?
No, I'm gonna be honest with you. No,
Okay.
I'm not familiar.
You're gonna learn it real quick. Let that be the neighborhood you focus on when you go out and look at some homes. Okay, so there's a few different ways I could pull up properties in Friars Gate. One is, and we'll start with actives. If I type in New Friars Gate, 17 houses. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty easy. You know, if I could do that and get the search done with, because I didn't even need to use an area. But if I do area 1 and do New Friars Gate, it's only one area, so it should be 17 again, and it is. So, but now let's say something is in a really small neighborhood and you want to pinpoint it, but you can't only use just that neighborhood. Are you familiar with the search by map?
I tried it out a few times, but I don't know if I was doing it right.
This one is actually really, I like this one a lot. Okay, so I'm going to use an address in there. This one actually closed today. Casco Bay. So, of course, if we zoom in, since I'm running this, obviously, coincidentally, it's in New Friars Gate. So now if I did a 1 mile radius, this would zoom in tighter than just New Friars Gate, and it could include other neighborhoods. So let's do a mile radius search. So I first got an address, and then I hit 1 and draw. So this is a 1 mile circle.
Okay.
Okay. And I use this a lot for comps. If I want something pretty close, maybe I'll do 2 mile radius, because that's going to tend to be the same schools, the same type of area. You know, it just really pinpoints you.
Right.
Now, surprisingly, we have a lot more properties that popped up than the 17 in New Friars Gate. So like in this case, I would have been better off just doing a search for New Friars Gate than a 1 mile radius. So, but that's a way that you can find some properties. Now, what I'd want to do next is, if I was still trying to find comps for Casco Bay, like I know it was single family, it was unique because it had 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. It was, how big was that one? 1,400 square feet. So like you said, let's go 1,200 to 1,700 square feet. Okay, so we only have 2 actives. So you can see a property meeting this general description probably is going to get an offer pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to do pending. We're going to do closed, expired, and if you wish, we can do all withdrawn. Now, when you do all these categories, we need to go down here and focus in on a couple of date ranges. So I don't like to go beyond 6 months if I don't have to. So let's just say that anything that closed, and a lot of closings, you can use up to a year. So if we were having a tough time finding comps, we could go 01/01/2019. If there were like 10 solds, then what we could do is 3 months of, you know, let's just do June 1st. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
37. Now, anything that was listed since the beginning of the year. Okay, so that's actually a lot less than I'd expect, right? 5 properties in a mile radius. Now, what I'm going to do here is let's just go ahead and use New Friarsgate as a subdivision. So we only have 4. So what is that telling you? Do you have a general idea of why we get such few?
Because of the recent, because of the dates that you put in. So that means that.
So let's do anything that closed. If we wanted more closings, we go, oh, the beginning of the year. Hello? And let's, I don't know what that noise is, sorry.
Oh, no, someone just walked in. I'm sorry about
that. Like a bad horror movie. Okay. Okay, so anyways, okay, so I put the wrong listing date. So we still only have 7. So basically what this is telling us is this is a rare property. And I'll tell you the reason it was rare is, now I'm surprised it is rare since we didn't use a price range. The 4-bedroom is rarer in that area where they're usually 3 bedrooms. So I bet since we did 4-bedroom, if we increase the square footage, we'd probably get more. So we almost doubled it. But
right.
In order to keep it, we don't want to go too big. So I would really probably still stick with 1,800. We have 9 properties. And I need to go ahead and update that one. So you can see they went from a range of 84,000 to well, the withdrawn was 174.9. There's one active at 164.9. Then ours was 149.7 that closed, and then there was another one at 149 that closed. So,
hey, congratulations on the closing.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that one was an interesting one because the person I was representing owns their own brokerage company. So talk about being on top of your game. If you didn't do it right, they would let you know.
Right.
Yeah, so. Okay, so this is the next thing I usually do after I pull my comps. I personally like the CMA summary. And what you're going to want to do is go through all these different reports to see what you like.
Right.
Because they're all there for a reason. Some people will like some, others will like others. But I just print this out and then make notes on it. And then I'll go and print all these individual sheets out once I know that I really want to include them.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, this one, and I'll show you why I like it so much, is because I can explain pricing to you almost immediately from the conversation we had earlier. Saying, okay, so, and I don't know let's see what criteria I used. 4 bedrooms, anything listed or closed at the beginning of the year or listed within a year or whatever, let's see. So basically I can say, okay, so to tell you what's going on in the market, this represents all properties in New Friarsgate that were listed from October 1st, 2018 to now. And if they closed between January 1st of this year and now. They're all 4 bedrooms, all 2 baths. And the square footage is going to be in a range of about 200 to 300 square feet. Okay. The active properties are ranging here. The average is 4 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,500 square feet. These have been on the market 47 days. They were priced at $127.4. Now, the reality is that this 89.9 brought it down a lot, so it's probably a pretty rough foreclosure. So you would have to decide if it's a true comp or not. I would, for this situation, it would not have been. Okay, now the next category is called closed. The closed tell us what people really will pay for this property. So a buyer agreed to this price, a seller agreed to this price, and an appraiser agreed to this price. And on average, the list price is $122,300. They're selling for $119,140. It's 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot house. They're going under contract in 18 days on average. And again, the selling price is pretty tight to the list price. So let's, just out of curiosity, that number would have been, I always like to know the actual ratio. 97.6% of value. So in theory, if this house here, well, let's see if we have pending. Okay. So in theory, this one here, if we were to have to guess what it would sell for, we would take the list price of 149.7 times 0.9. I think I said 97.6%.
Yeah.
So that would tell me I wouldn't be shocked to see this thing end up closing at 146,107. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that, right there, that kind of, I think, shows my awareness of the market. Because most people will say, well, we know they got a contract price. We don't know what it'll close for. And that's an accurate statement. But at least you can make a very calculated estimate to tell them, I can't promise you this is the closing, but if ratios hold, this would be around the price it's going to end up selling for.
And I'm sorry, but how did you get the percentage again?
Okay. Do you have a calculator?
I usually use my phone.
Oh, you're on their phone now? I'll show you how to do it again.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say, you don't have to do it now if you don't want to.
Oh, no, I can show you. I was just going to have you type it in because then you'd probably remember it better.
Oh, I was going to write it down.
You take your sales price, average sales price.
Right.
You divide it by the average list price.
All right.
And then that's going to tell you the percent it's going for. And the Columbia market tends to be around 97%.
And as long as it's around 97%, then you could also say that the comps are pretty much are pretty accurate too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, right now all this stuff is a formula for us. And the closed are our most reliable formula. Because any seller out here, this 413 Parlock Road, this seller could have told his agent, I demand you list this house for $1 million. It wouldn't sell within 20 years at that price. So that being an active property at 1 million gives us no information. We just need to know if it's our listing, we can't be above $1 million, So we got to, that $1 million is going to sell our listing. Maybe there's some fool who goes in and, says, wow, one person's asking $1 million. This $125,000 house is a steal. Okay. So closed are very valuable. Pending is the next one. And that's saying in this market, we do know that if they price it at 149.7, it got a contract. Based on our sold calculations at 97%, that they will probably end up getting around, X. I don't remember the number.
I didn't write it down.
It doesn't matter as long as you understand where we're going. And then the withdrawals, again, I would explain this one as withdrawals tell us about other properties that were on the market that never sold. Okay. Now, like in this circumstance here, this one actually had a contract on it, but they didn't want to accept that contract. So it's no longer on the market. So that's tough because we can't say it was overpriced because then we would be giving inaccurate information. But it also never closed either. So we don't have proof an appraiser would have valued this property at $174.9. I actually thought it was overpriced, but they got a contract. It fell through. So, you know, who's to say what the actual valuation of this property should be? That make sense? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, if I was going to meet someone, I would print this out. Then I would next go and I would go to the, where's that? I can never find these when I'm in front of people. Okay, like for me, I always print out like agent one page, but you can't share that with people because it could have alarm codes, things like that. So you would want to print something out like the customer one page. Mm-hmm. So then I would print out all of these that were in my summary. And that way you can say, if you want to see more information on any specific property, you can go to the individual sheet. And whenever I do comps, I go through a lot more detail than a lot of people, but I'll do the same thing. Every comp I pull up, I'm going to go through the pictures. Is it a similar house? You know, if the condition is completely different, I don't really want to use it.
Right.
I don't really care about the date range. If you know it's not, you know, a close match, then it's not really a comp. So anyways, yeah, that's basically how to do your comparables. And every search could require a different way. Some searches require using your map search, some by the neighborhood, some by a school. You know, if I wanted to, like, okay, so these are going to H.E. Corley and Dutch Fork. So if I knew the schools were unbelievably important, you know, you could, if they say, I definitely want to go to H.E. Corley, that may be a good way to search for actives. You may not want to pull solds just based on something like that, but in theory, we should still have near 7. So you see how we still have near 7?
Right.
But now, if I wanted to take out the map search, what did we do Friarsgate on this one? There it is. Okay. So it pulled 3 from a different neighborhood. So if I needed just a few more comps that I thought were relevant, maybe I try that angle and look at the other 3 not in Friarsgate and say, do I think Corners of Irmo, they're newer homes, like basically in New Friarsgate. So like that's why they pulled up. Hey, look at that one. Okay, let me look at this real quick. Okay, never mind. I was thinking that one was mine and I never hit close, but the date range we used is too early. So I was like, wait a second. Okay. So yeah, so anyways, anything on the MLS you want me to go over while we're probably running out of time, but anything you want me to go over real quick?
Yeah, I forgot I had a time limit on here.
Yeah, there's usually a 40-minute time limit on it. It is still going. I'm not certain.
No, I'm pretty sure you showed me a lot of new things on the MLS page today, honestly.
Okay, good.
I've seen these things, but I guess I never really used it the way that you're supposed to. So hey, you really did show me a lot.
Okay, good. So, and the thing is, again, okay, that's the problem is the stop the share. again, the MLS, there's so many different ways to use this one that, you just got to find what's working for you. What I showed you is probably one of the right ways to do it, obviously, but
Right.
you just keep practicing with it. Every time you do stuff, that's going to help you.
And we probably don't have enough time. Maybe the next session that we do, but if you could you go into better detail about how to find a niche in real estate? I know you said something about it earlier, but a lot of people have been saying that, but I really don't understand what they mean by that.
Yeah, and it kind of another way to understand that is, what's your marketing angle? Like, do you have anything that you can think of that you could present to a buyer where they would say that's very valuable? Do you have any answers for that?
Right now it could be, well, since I'm new, the only thing that I can offer is hard work, to be honest.
Okay. So, and that was going to be my last question. Tell me why you think, if you, that Family Feud game? Do you remember that game? Where there's like, okay, there's 3 answers on the board. If they ask the general public why they would not hire you as their real estate agent, what would those answers be? Not,
Why
they don't have
they
to be
would.
true, but just what their image may be offhand to say, I could find someone else to work with.
Why they wouldn't work with me?
Right.
Probably would be experience as far as how many houses that I sold, knowledge, because that comes with experience, and connections, and that probably comes with experience as well, knowing more people and knowing more about the business. You just tend to meet more people the further along that you go.
Okay. So, and then the reason I asked it that way was, have you ever heard of, it's called a USP. Do you know what that stands for?
No, never heard of that.
It's called unique selling proposition. So basically, consider it your fish bait. What is going to make somebody act? I mean, it's your bait, At the end of the day, you want them to say, I was going to use my friend, but I want what you're offering.
Right.
That's your USP. It would be good if we came up with a USP that gave you natural confidence, that basically in your innards, you're like, if I offer this to someone, they shouldn't care as much about my experience, knowledge, connections, because they're going to get what I just offered.
Right.
And you're not really going to consider that valuable. They're not going to consider it valuable unless other agents don't offer that. Make sense? So
right.
What we're going to have to do, and this is going to be, I think, a different conversation. What is that? Do you have any ideas of something you could offer right now?
I would say hard work, but I'm pretty sure a lot of real estate agents offer hard work. I guess a relationship, and just being there, connecting with whoever I'm working with at the time, and even after that, because I look at it as, a new connection. Well, I want to sell houses and help people, and help people buy houses as well, in order to better them.
Yep.
So a
what we're
connection
gonna
and hard
do,
work.
One of them that I'm going to give you, because the other thing is you can kind of come up with an idea, but then how do you present it? And I've already created this for myself. It's called the Easy Exit Agreement. What do you think that is?
I'm clueless, to be honest with you. It's probably been a long time.
Well, then what that
You
tells,
said the easy
exit agreement. That tells me maybe I need to reword it, right? Because you should know what it is. Because if you don't know, a consumer may not know. An easy exit agreement. Go ahead.
So an easy exit agreement probably is something that you would say at the end of a interview in order to lock in an agreement, or no, I'm far off.
No, you're dead on. So, and I'll tell you what, this is what I tell my clients, and it's all true. If you don't tell the truth, we're not going to work together long because everything is driven off integrity. Easy exit agreement is simple. Before I got into real estate, I had some crappy realtors, right? And they focused more on the commission than, I got my first house, probably around 24 years old. And I didn't know what I was doing. And I kind of felt taken advantage of. And, my theory was, well, they're there to help me. But, after the fact, I kind of felt like they were there for their commission. So my easy exit agreement is simple. If I don't provide you the service I say I'm going to provide, then you can get out of it. If you don't do what, and it's a two-way document. It's basically, if we don't work well together, I request we have a conversation because there could be a miscommunication. If we can't correct that, then I'll let you out of our agreement. So you're not trapped into a 6-month agreement where you can't get out. Send me an email and we're done. Now, it works both ways. If I'm working with a buyer and I'm asking them to go to a loan officer and they refuse to take that step of getting pre-qualified, I can't spend all my time on someone who won't do what they need to do for me to help them. So at that point, I could send them an email that says, I'm requesting to be out of this agreement. Please sign the release when I send it to you. So it's a two-way document. But for me, I hate signing things. If I meet someone for the first time, you will not get me to sign an agreement with you.
Right.
But if someone came and said, read it, there is no fine print, you sign it. If you want out, you just have to send me an email and I'll send you the release. I would be in agreement to that. So that's something that you need to be using. Because then, again, you can use agreement. My actual document is called Performance Cancellation Guarantee. Either I perform or I guarantee that you can cancel the agreement. You can use whatever name you want. But if you want to go with, I'm young, I got the energy, and I'm going to work hard for you. If I'm not showing you results, cancel the agreement. Here's the document that says you have that right at any point unless we make an offer, and then we got to see it to the end of either the offer falling through or the contract, it gets voided or we close it.
Right. And honestly, the listing that I did get, I only got one listing, but the listing that I did get, I told him, I said, if I don't do what I said that I'm going to do, then just fire me. Yep. Just fire me. That's all you have to do. And we can go from there.
Yep.
And he was like, okay, I will.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is that same thing. You're a man of your word. And if at any point you're blowing smoke, they have the right to fire you. So they're in control. So, that gives them comfort level. And most people do not take advantage of that circumstance. Because if they see you working hard, that's going to be the main thing. And we'll go over some different ones after that. But the main thing is we get you something because it's better marketing. You start thinking of things that could really help somebody. And at the end of the day, to be honest, what it grabs people is a lot of times something that has a monetary value to it. We can make a document that says you'll provide, a $500 gift to your client at closing, and that ends up being you're paying for their home warranty.
Wow. So that just opened up a new can of ideas from just saying that you'll do something to actually, hey, well, at the end of my closing, you can get this, or we can have. I get it.
Now, here's the one thing. The industry is weird. Like, you're going to hear, like, if people watch this video, there'd be some agents who would say, you can't do that. You can't pay, your client's money. That's illegal. But it's not. The settlement statement has to document it. So what it shows is where all the money comes to and goes to. And it can only go from a realtor to a principal of the transaction. So that means the buyer is involved in the property. So you can send them part of your commission to help them. You could help pay their closing costs if you wanted to. Wow. But you could never send $500 of your commission to their brother. So like if you went to their brother and said, hey, if you tell them to use me, I'll give you $500, then the LLR would consider that illegal. But if that actual buyer came, you went to him and say, dude, does $500 home warranty sound good to you? Because it'll protect you for up to a year after closing. And then they got another friend in the business and he's like, I'm gonna go to realtor, use me. What's he gonna say? He's probably gonna say, well, I got another realtor who's offering me a $500 warranty, right? And a lot of the public doesn't, especially buyers. What do buyers care about?
The warranty?
No. What do buyers care about? First thing we went over in the call today. Buyers
the house. The house.
They care about the house. So they're not evaluating you versus your other realtor. They're evaluating, all I'm looking for is the right house.
Right.
The realtor matters. It's a big deal, but they're not thinking of that. They're thinking of, I can use pretty much any realtor. I just need to get in the house to find my house.
So, because like I said, you opened up a whole lot of questions when you said something about the gift.
Yep.
So what if someone was to, just for, a little while, for a few transactions, said, hey, well, if you work with me in order to get your house, then I could pay your closing costs for the first couple of clients. Is that for a first-time home buyer? So, like, would that be
what we have to do? And what we'll do is, like, again, you can offer it to the actual client. Like if you went to a wedding planner, you can't say, every time you send me a client, I'm going to just send you $500. So, but yeah, if you met with the buyer and they use you, it could be called a buyer rebate, where you say, if you use me, I'll 1% of my commission will go towards your closing costs. That would be allowed.
That sounds good.
Now, here's the thing, and there's no way you grasp it because there's so much going on. The upline that we're in is insane. And you're going to have a chance to get on some calls. There's one guy he is a go-getter. I think he's in his 30s. And I mean, he had a top 11 team in the nation. Okay. This guy is a USP freak, and he's an internet lead generation machine. But you'll want to get in calls with him, and he'll be using USPs like that all the time. He made two great comments, and it's funny. You start seeing all these big lines at EXP kind of interacting with each other, and they're all laughing at his comment. You're familiar with Zillow, right? And how so many agents hate how much money they're getting paid, basically send the leads back. And Adam Bailey has said, I love this, Zillow is the price you pay for being a bad marketer. And he is 100% right. If you're a good marketer, you don't have to pay Zillow for those leads.
Right.
And that's called a USP. Your USP has to be so strong that people are going to call you. And that's what we got to develop, because that's your advantage. And if you can tie a USP with a life circumstance, we can really put you in a good spot.
So now, what's a life circumstance?
Like if you're in a situation where like people your age are getting married, maybe we target people getting married and just say, you know, something like, I know you have, just basically somehow tie that message in with helping them. I know, now that you're getting married, wouldn't it be great to have your starter home to build your foundation with? I'm here to tell you, if I get the honor of helping you, my gift to you will be a $500 home warranty at closing. And then we're going to do another one that we may even do next, which is you guarantee them a free home warranty. Now, with the value of $500, the benefit of that is you can ask the seller to pay for it. And if they do, you don't have to pay the commit, you don't lose $500 commission.
Mm-hmm.
So there's different ways to structure it, but you want to present it. And agents do not do this. I'm still not doing this well enough.
Well, like Grant Cardone said, they want to think that they're getting a deal. So yeah. If they think that they're getting a deal with the $500 warranty, then hey, why not?
Yep, I agree. So anyways, I'm shocked. Zoom usually caps you at 40 minutes. It was nice to us. We had an hour 15 call tonight. So
yeah, my phone
we'll call it a day. You focus on LLR. You get that knocked out. Right. And you have to get that before the MLS will let you back in, right?
Right.
Yeah, so you get LLR done, you get the MLS done, and, give me a shout next week to let me know how that's going. You'll probably have it all knocked out, and we can figure out another time. I may have a Zoom call with another one, have Melinda join us. She's one of my mentees. And then that way the three of us can be on kind of discussing different selling propositions to try to get more people to call us.
All right, that sounds good.
Okay, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you.
Okay, hope you like Zoom.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye.